Okay, hello everybody, welcome. Okay, good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the West of England Combined Authority Committee. And I'd like to thank those who are here in person, of course, but also those who are online, which actually includes my mum who's in Southmead Hospital. So mum, if you're watching, hello. Hope you get better soon. I'll come and see you. Okay. I have to start with a serious point, the evacuation procedure. So please listen. I know we've heard these things before, but these things are important. So I need to draw your attention to the evacuation procedure. In the event of a fire, please await direction from staff members who will assist with the evacuation. Please do not return to the building until instructed to do so by the wardens. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to start with a serious point. This afternoon, Paul Stephenson will be remembered in a memorial service at Bristol Cathedral. His life was in pursuit of equality and justice. Paul passed away in November. He was a Bristolian, a man from the west of England who reached global recognition, which is a very rare thing. Paul was the first black social worker to be employed by Bristol City Council and co-led the Bristol bus boycott. He later held a one-man sit-in at the Bay Horse pub in Broadmead, helping to spur the landmark civil rights legislation of the then Labour government in the 1960s. Paul was later the first black person to be conferred with the freedom of the city of Bristol, and has also been honoured with degrees from both Bristol University and the University of the West of England, an OBE and a Pride of Britain award. Respect, I'd say, to that. My thoughts are with his family and friends and the great many people who he inspired. We will now, if you don't mind, observe a minute's silence. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, if we can now move on to item one. This is the welcome, introductions and apologies for absence. So obviously welcome to this meeting of the West of England Combined Authority Committee, as I previously mentioned. I'm Dan Norris, for those of you who do not know me, and I'd just like to quickly introduce my committee colleagues that are surrounding me today. In no particular order, but all are well known. First of all, Kevin Guy from Bath and North East Somerset Council, of course. Comrade Ian Bolton from South Gloucestershire Council, of course. Heather, very much welcome to you. I don't know if this is your first meeting, but welcome to you. And you're deputising, of course, for Tony Dyer, the leader at Bristol. And then we've got to my left, I'm not sure if it's politically or not, but Richard Bonner from the Local Enterprise Partnership Board, who is a non-voting member, of course, of the committee, as many people will be aware. And then we've got statutory officers. Stephen, could you introduce yourself?
Stephen Peacock, Chief Executive.
And if you could introduce your team.
So to introduce to my right, Solange, who is our Section 73 Officer and Finance Director. We have Tim Milgate, and who have I missed? Tim is Democratic Services, and of course Bob Brown, who's the Director of Legal and Monitoring Officer. Okay,
and then also present is my favourite Green politician, Jerome Thomas. No offence there. Jerome and I got to know each other a little bit during the last campaign, didn't we? And you tried to get run over by me as well, didn't you, more recently, which people may want to ask Jerome about on another occasion. He's the chair of the Authorities Overview and Scrutiny Committee, sorry if I get that right. And then, of course, David. Hello, David. No offence to you either, David. You're the chair of the Authorities Audit Committee. You're very welcome. And yes, I'm going to come. I'm going to go on to Claire in a moment, Claire, if you don't mind. So I'll introduce you properly in a minute. And then we've got the next item is declarations of interest. Do any members have declarations of interest to declare today, please? They're all shaking heads. So no, there are no declarations of interest. Thank you. Right. Then the next item is item 3. That's minutes. The minutes of the meeting held on the 20th of September 1924 have been included in the agenda pack. Are members content to agree these minutes as correct records, please? I can see everybody nodding, including Heather, who wasn't even here, but that doesn't matter, Heather. That's great. You're nodding. That's all good. It's all good.
I don't want to disagree.
That's good. Great. Well, that's really good. Okay. Look, now it comes to my announcements, please. So we're now coming on to mentioning Claire. Claire, can I first of all welcome you very much, our Police and Crime Commissioner, Claire Moody, who's the Police and Crime Commissioner, of course, for Avon and Somerset. What I'm hoping, Claire, is to invite you ongoingly, and obviously it'd be for the new mayor to decide to continue that or not, but I think it's very important that our Police and Crime Commissioner, whatever their colour, should be part of this meeting with the agreement of other members. Do I see any objections to that happening? No, I didn't think I would. Claire, you're very welcome. So I give you this first opportunity, and you're very welcome, of course, to speak to us. As you know, and other members and leaders here will know, we take knife crime very seriously. We're concerned about it, not just in the city of Bristol, but the rest of the west of England. And Claire, you will have responsibilities outside as well of our particular area. And as many of you will already know, that I support an Office of Violence Prevention model, because I think that it's really important to adopt that model because it's been so effective in other parts of the world. And, you know, you have to get buy-in from communities. I know this from a previous job that I used to hold. So look, Claire, I know this is an important topic for you too. We talk about it very often, I know. So I'd like to invite you, if I may, and don't put you too much on the spot, to say a few words about this or anything else. And just quickly before you do, I noticed that the Labour government have announced quite a lot of money for the police forces. I really obviously welcome that very much, but you may want to say a few words about that, or you may not, and you're welcome to do so. I don't want to restrict you to knife crime. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan, and thank you for the invitation to be here this afternoon. I unfortunately can't be here for the whole of the meeting because of the Paul Stephenson's memorial, as you said earlier, so I will be leaving to go to that. But I do appreciate the chance to talk to this topic. And just before I do, as you've given me the opportunity, I also welcome that additional 100 million that has been announced of funding for neighbourhood policing, because as Police and Crime Commissioner, it's my duty to develop a police and crime plan, and that is around setting the strategy for Avon and Somerset Police. I am not operational, but that strategy has 5 priorities, and the first one of those priorities is about strengthening neighbourhood policing so that communities have a greater link to their police team locally. So I am very happy to see more funding for neighbourhood policing, as was announced in the last 24 hours. But going to the point that you made around the proposals we have been discussing in recent weeks around the Office of Violence Prevention, the first thing to be clear about, which I am sure that we all are, is we're all too familiar with the headlines that we have had around our communities and the tragedies that we have seen in this area over the last 12 months and more, which have unfortunately, been as a result of young people being killed. But we also know there has been a rise in the statistics around serious youth violence. Some of that is actually around the change in crime data and the way that crime data is done. But there is also a reality that we have also seen an underlying rise as well as that, crime data integrity changes. And we have to respond to that, and we have to respond to that effectively. And I know we all share that objective to ensure that our young people get all the support that they need from us in being able to fulfill their lives. So I'm really grateful for the conversations that we've been having around the proposal of the Office of Violence Prevention to find a way through to get the support that you've been talking about and the support that could come through from the West of England. I should say as well that as Police and Crime Commissioner, I chair the Avon and Somerset Violence Reduction Partnership, and the VRP has been integral to the conversations with the local authorities about this. So I've highlighted the problem we have, but we also have in our area the solutions to this. And they are the organisations, that kind of, the VCSE sector organisations that are in our area. Empire Fighting Chance has been integral to the OVP proposal. We've got Growing Futures, we've got Moranza. These are the organisations that that are rooted in our communities, and they are the organisations who are able to reach our young people in a way that we as politicians are less able to do, and that can really effect change in those young people's lives. And there was also a University of Bristol rapid review of the provision for our young people as well. And they had two key findings too, which were about that hyperlocal response, and that was also around funding for consortium response to that. And again, these are kind of reflected in the OVP proposals. So, as Police and Crime Commissioner, I am always going to be open to the opportunities for us to deliver change, to explore those opportunities. We have that responsibility to our young people, and we need to take the holistic approach to how we can deliver that change. So thank you for the chance to be here to talk about this, and I hope that we can continue the work that started around the development, the conversations through the OVP, and that we can get to a place where we can do more than that line to support our young people. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Claire. Really nice to hear from you today, and thank you for some insight into what you're thinking about. Okay, if we can now move to item 5, that's items for the public. There were 11 questions received in advance of this meeting from 7 individuals, and responses to these questions will be circulated and published on the Combined Authorities website. In addition, there were several statements, I think 6, received. These have been circulated to the committee, and these will be published with agenda papers on the website. Some of the statement writers are here today, I can see some of them, and they are invited to speak now. There is a maximum time of 3 minutes per a speaker. So I will start off by asking, is Councillor Joanna Wright here, please? Joanna, you're going to speak on behalf of someone as well as speak to yourself, is that right?
Amelia will now speak on behalf.
Oh, Amelia's going to do that. Okay, so so if you could start off, Joanna, and then I'll come to Amelia, so if Amelia can be on standby. So thank you very much.
Thank you. As councillors for Lambridge and previously served as the Cabinet Member for Transport in Bath and North East Somerset, where I introduced and supported the Livable Neighbourhoods policy, we are fully behind the main goals of the initiative: reducing traffic, improving air quality and creating healthier, fairer streets for everyone in Bath and North East Somerset. However, we have serious concerns about the specific proposal for the Camden Road bus gate, which we believe is fundamentally flawed and could cause real harm to our community. Despite repeated efforts to engage with the current Cabinet through numerous emails, formal requests for information and ongoing attempts to start a dialogue, we have received no meaningful response. This lack of communication has left us as elected representatives and our constituents feeling ignored and excluded. At a public meeting on the 20th of November 2024, attended by over 300 residents and through more than 400 online submissions, the community made their concerns crystal clear. People are worried that the Camden Road bus gate will push more traffic onto already overcrowded residential streets in Lambridge, Lansdowne and Bath Avon North. This will increase congestion, worsen air quality, and create long delays, especially near key public services like the Fairfield Park Health Centre, which serves over 14,000 local people. These aren't just statistics. Real families, elderly residents, and vulnerable people are at risk. The full business case that went to WECA for this proposal is insufficient. It does not provide clear evidence-based answers to show how the busgate will achieve its goals, like reducing traffic, improving air quality, or making streets safer. There are no clear projections or impact assessments to explain how traffic will be displaced or how it will affect already crowded streets. Without proper evidence, there's a real risk that this scheme could make environmental and health problems worse, rather than improving them. How can we move forward with a plan that could harm our community without solid data to back it up? The issue is also about social justice. Wealthier areas of Bath already enjoy quieter streets and rising property values, while poorer communities are left to deal with more traffic, worse air quality, and less mobility. This is not just a traffic issue, it's a fundamental fairness issue. The Livable Neighbourhoods policy should help everyone, not just those in wealthier parts of the city. We are calling on the council to pause and rethink the Camden Road busgate proposal in its current form. The community deserves genuine consultation, not a process that ignores their concerns. We need transparency, decisions based on solid evidence, and a comprehensive citywide traffic strategy. How will the West of England Combined Authority review this full business case and ensure Baines delivers for all residents? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joanna. Kevin, did you want to come in?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Wright, for your statement. And I'm glad that you're supportive of the Livable Neighbourhoods programme in general. I spoke to the Wilcott councillors this week, as well as Cabinet members, on this particular topic, but I'd like to formally invite yourself and the other Lambridge councillor to come and see me next week on this topic, and we can listen to your views and take them into account. Would you accept that invitation?
I will certainly accept that invitation.
Splendid.
But it has taken a little bit for that to happen. It's a serious issue, and it's a serious issue for
Sorry, Emilia, can you hear me? You're going to speak now on behalf of...
Of Anna Mountney.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is a statement from Anna Mountney, my colleague in the Reclaim Our Buses campaign. So Anna says, I would like to take a moment on behalf of Reclaim Our Buses to thank you for your work as Mayor of the West of England Combined Authority. Your engagement with our campaign, your correspondence and your respect over the past year have been greatly appreciated. However, the journey towards franchising our buses, the systematic reform that this region desperately needs, remains unfinished. Franchising offers a bold, transformative vision for public transport. It has proven successful elsewhere, most notably in Manchester with the B network. There, franchising has enabled the region to integrate bus services with a unified ticketing system and capped fares, ensuring a consistent and reliable passenger experience. Under Andy Burnham's leadership, Greater Manchester has faced and overcome significant opposition, including multiple legal challenges, to deliver a model that works for residents. The B network is now not only functional but expanding, with over 50 new electric buses introduced, further bolstering its commitment to sustainability and accessibility. We have not seen similar ambition or progress here in the West of England. You've expressed doubts about the feasibility of franchising, citing exceptional circumstances in our region. Yet you have not published a detailed report explaining what these challenges are, nor exploring the options for overcoming them. Your administration's previous statements about the financial model for franchising have raised concerns. For instance, the repeated claim that Greater Manchester's franchise relies on tram subsidies is inaccurate. Their business case was explicitly designed to function independently of cross-subsidies, relying instead on strategic phased implementation and public consultation. Additionally, the argument that establishing a passenger transport executive would be prohibitively expensive ignores alternative approaches such as leveraging existing council staff alongside recruiting a senior manager with experience in managing a franchise system. This approach focuses on targeted leadership to ensure effective implementation without incurring excessive costs. These issues undermine public understanding and risk stalling progress. The lack of ambition, slowness, and insufficient transparency and collaboration further compound these challenges. What can we expect the long-awaited franchising? When can we expect the long-awaited franchising report, and how will WECA ensure that transparency, accuracy, and thorough investigation underpin this report and the advice given? I will just go to the end. This is a defining moment for the West of England. As Labour reaffirms its commitment to public transport reform nationally, we must ensure that our region is not left behind. We urge you to prioritise the franchising report and act swiftly, ensuring it's published before the electoral pause in May. Public transport is not a political game, it is a vital service. I know that the report is going to come in the summer, but we do need things to move quickly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amelia, for reading that out from Anna. And if Anna's listening, or if you could pass a message on, could you thank her very much for her statement. And I don't agree with all of it for reasons I think I've already said. But I can assure you that when I look around the room and I see the leaders here, there is no lack of desire to want to bring those solutions about. It is really a challenge, however, for reasons that I have outlined before. And she is right in that cross-subsidies from a profitable tram system in Manchester isn't the key reason for what they've been able to do there, or not. But they have had hundreds of millions of pounds from government given to them, which if we had, we would be in a very similar position and able to meet many of the requests that have been made that you just read out. So we have to live in the real world. We'd like to live in that fantasy world where we could get on with it and be doing it now. That's not for us. We're going to have to get there. So thank you for the kind comments at the beginning. People are on it. We are determined. We're so determined to get this sorted, but we have to deal with the cards we've been given and we have to play them as well as we can. So I hope you'll bear with us as we do that. But I'm confident that change is afoot and it will come and it will make a big difference to the people we all care about, the people who are trying to get around our fantastic region and do that efficiently, cost effectively and well. Thank you. Okay. David, I could see your emotion etched on your face as that was being read out. But resist that if you can, and stick to the time if you've got it.
I'm going to stick very carefully to the future of WECA and moving forward, and the need to lift that best value notice as soon as possible, so we can expand North Somerset, and we can expand possibly Swindon and Gloucestershire. We've got to grow bigger. We don't want a Wessex that swallows us around Dorset, Bournemouth, and Christchurch and Wiltshire, which becomes a bigger region than ourselves. And we need to play in the same league as Andy Burnham. So where are we going? Project-wise in getting things moving. The first project is Metro West. Metro West is not about railways. It's about economic development. It's probably one of your success stories, Dan, getting it moving. But we need to get on with it. We need to get on with Henbury Station. The Prime Minister got involved in North Bristol. He's got involved in the Brabazon Station. We need to get that rapid expansion money to make sure we can make it safe for the arena, which means we need acceleration money in there to make it happen quicker. And we need to make sure it's safe for passengers following the Manchester Victoria incident with the arena and British Transport Police recommendations. But we need to get that service running. And we also need to move some money from somewhere else in WECA with North Somerset to get the Portishead line open. There's projects that aren't successful out there and not supported publicly, which we need to look at whether we can accelerate Portishead, which will give economic growth to South Bristol, let people come in to work in Bristol, and again, drive the agenda of growth, economy, and the issues of where we need to go in the west of England. It's all about jobs, growth, and employment and housing. And then the bus network, well, we're getting there, Dan. I had a good meeting as your rep the other day for passengers and equalities. So we're doing well in Bristol, 3 new routes, South Bristol, East Bristol with your officers, North Bristol, with money from Bristol City Council. We still have problems, and we've got issues in Baines. Chewton Mendip still needs sorting with the bus from the Chew Valley, and we still need to find a way of getting David Drew on agreement into Wootton Under Edge. I was concerned, though, that we still have West of England money tied up from BSIP. We've made no progress on changing those routes in Chipping, Sodbury, Yates, and Ian Bolton's patch through East Bristol, the ones that residents came to me about, came to you about. We made those decisions because we were in election period. They were not made by yourself. They were not made by the councillors. The officers made them. So we need still to unlock those and get that network in South Gloucestershire working for the communities we serve. So I just put that there. Chris Wilmore and I've worked, Chris Wilmore and myself have worked together on this with Matt Palmer and Ian and Maggie, and we need to get your help to sort that. Also with David Drew up the road. That's quite a big priority. And then I welcome the growth, but we've got to take growth. So probably is an issue for Ashton Gate Station. The tramway services, like rail, needs looking at in the longer term. I'm not sure about this bypass scheme through here. I think we've got to do some review on that. And we need to move forward in talking with passengers. West Local needs a review on the Y8's not carrying, and the 61, Dan, I know you're the councillor for Brislington. I went out on it and travelled it. It's carrying 1 passenger per journey. We can't go on like that between Brislington. As you said, Westlink, West Local, or experimental. So we need to find a way of reviewing those, making sure we get best value. But the most important thing is to get out those special measures so we can act and make WECA bigger and grow. And I hope the council leaders are listening to that. The political issues have got to stop. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. Thanks, David, very much. Okay, Christina Biggs. Christina, hello, welcome. How are you?
So I'm Christina Biggs. I'm representing the Friends of Suburban. Used to be called Friends of Suburban Bristol Railways. We're now called Bristol Rail Campaign. So we're very delighted.
Why the change?
Just thought it was snappier. Fosborough's a bit of a mouth. It's just a bit of a mouthful, Fosborough, and nobody knows what it. Well, you all obviously have been following us for a while, but yeah, that's the only thing. Yes, so we're just delighted about Metro's Phase 2. We're hoping that you're really pressing government on Portishead. As you say, we've been trying to, stir things. We had a rally in the summer. So yeah, let's just push that to central government, get that actually over the line. West Rabbit Transport, with the statement today regards to our suggestions on routing. So the idea for tram trains is that you're actually running from Templemead Station, Platform 1, extending Platform 1. So the same train, which can run on heavy rack, can run on tram train track. They do this in Cardiff. So we've got contacts who want to talk to them. So we think the first thing to do would be Templemead to centre, because it's just a little bit far away for people to kind of easily get to centre from Bristol Templemeads. That would mean stop people driving in. That would be the brilliant thing to do. But we've also put a little map on that we literally sat down and I was drawing this where it could go. So East Bristol could go, I'm thinking Whitehall Road rather than the actual railway path. Or it could be 2 Mile Hill, it could be Fish Ponds, but you can then link up to your Westerly Oil Depot line, up to Yate and then Thornbury. Down the south, you can do a nice little loop from the airport, Brislington, and then you could loop off either to towards Keynsham, maybe join the main line at Hicksgate, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, we're really delighted you're progressing the project, and we'd love to, help you develop ideas. Next thing, zonal fares. So at the moment, the 7 Beach line is beautifully cheap. Obviously, it'd be really nice if we could bring railway fares down. But yeah, I think it's Ashley Down Station. It's actually putting people off using it. That to take a train from Ashley Down Station is so much more expensive than take it from Montpellier Station. So if we can work out a zonal fare system, and then people will use Ashley Down more. We know that Hanbury's on the way. Delighted about that. Thank you so much for putting extra money in today to Phase 2. Let's get. Thank you so much for delivering Metro's Phase 1A. We're really grateful for that. We're very grateful for the service from Westbury, the Salisbury service going up to Gloucester. It's fantastic. So thank you. If we've got a tiny bit more time, I was just going to talk about housing, and that I know that we can't have the spatial plan at WECA level, and it's all down to the local plan. But could WECA even think about recommending just a little bit a kind of gate signposting thing, so people can have a feel for where the housing is supposed to be recommended, have some kind of input at this level. I have been going to Guest Western Gateway, very interesting work that James White's doing. One of the big things on his shopping list is Wesley Junction. So that's within the WECA area. So if you had a view on Wesley Junction, Network Rail want to do it. So with your support, we can persuade government to do that. What else? Okay.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Christina. I have a view on Westley Junction. I did a lot of my courting around there. It's a fabulous place. Okay, thank you very much, Christina. Points well made, thank you. Okay, Dr. Phil Collins. Dr. Collins.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Phil Collins, part of the Chew Valley CIC Sustainable Transport Group, working alongside Jackie Head. From a position of having no regular buses in the valley, we now have two West locals that we bid for and one funded by BSIP via the combined Mayoral Authority. The X91 Chew Valley Sprint successfully runs in and out of Bristol 3 times a day, and the 99 Chew Valley Cat does a figure of 8 round the valley. Started in September and is already carrying over 500 passengers a month. We're under no illusions that we have to work hard to build up the usage, but progress so far is good. We've had a slow start with the 99 as the route is because the route's complicated and there was little central promotional information until at least a month into the running. Many customers have complained that the 99 doesn't stop at Lytton, where there's a historical bus stop with bench and a popular pub restaurant can only be accessed by car. And at Chewton Mendip, a busy bus stop and exchange point for connections to the A39 and 37, despite the fact that the route passes through these 2 points. They are geographically just outside the MCA area, but the route has to pass through them in order to link back with parts of the southeast portion of the MCA area. And as a group, we had proposed it stopped at both these villages. However, this was dismissed because of the MCA guideline for West Local, which was, quote, would not prioritise delivering services outside the MCA or North Somerset area, unquote. This is a nonsense, as allowing stopping at these places would not cause anyone else to be deprioritised and would not require any additional actions to be taken by the MCA or any other local authority, as the stops already exist and the bus passes directly past them. More bizarre still is that to do so would not introduce any further costs or any further mileage to the route, but would provide a valuable service to the residents in the MCA as well as those in those 2 outside villages. Instead, they have to watch the bus drive past every day. My colleague Jackie Head spoke at the last meeting of this committee and has since met David Heckles and Bob Scowden, and also recently met with you, Dan, in your role as our MP. So far, though, we are no further forward. Incorporating these 2 stops not only makes sense, but is also completely in line with the aims of the BSIP funding from the Department of Transport, and not allowing this appears unjustifiable on any other grounds than politics alone. Our service has shown more passengers would then use the service, which in turn would increase the chances of it being viable by the end of the period. Both our buses are now providing a vital service to many residents, but also on a broader basis are starting to have a positive impact on decarbonisation and also a reduction in rural isolation. As a final point, I'd like to say that we want to work with the authority on a contingency plan for the end of the BSIP funding in March 2026 so that these services can continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Collins. And you're absolutely right. I spoke at length with Jackie about this exact point, and I did explain the situation to her. And at many levels, I completely agree. It is illogical and it doesn't make sense. However, there are other factors involved, and we're trying to find a way through. It's hard, I'm afraid. It is hard. Okay, is Ian Scott here, please? Ian, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you, Dan. And I'd like to endorse everything you said about Paul Stephenson, not just a hero of Bristol, but also a hero of Brixton, that in the 60s he managed to get Muhammad Ali to visit his youth club, probably when he was classiest clay. And I caught his daughter Femi on the radio this morning, and it reminded me, Femi, for a short period, worked with me in Scrutiny at Bristol City Council. And coming on to your scrutiny on Monday, I was concerned to hear about special measures in relation to the best value notice and the implications, both in terms of funding, but also the situation with North Somerset. Because the way I see it, you mentioned the money being given to the police authority. The way I see it, the West of England taxpayers are a net contributor to the British economy. So I don't see the government giving us money as generous. I see that as getting our money back, which we rightly deserve. So when I seen the devolution paper in December, I was concerned because it seemed to put places like South Yorkshire and also another example, I accept places like Greater Manchester in a different situation, but particularly the North East, South Yorkshire, I'm thinking, well, they're no more important than the West of England, but they seem to be in the Premier League of Metro Mayor areas, whereas we're being put in the second division. And then someone was kind of saying, well, that's because we got these special measures. Perhaps we could be promoted if we didn't have those special. And you pointed out, Dan, really, we shouldn't be in those special measures. Some of those relate back to the original mayor, Tim Bowles. And as Dave pointed out this morning, we got Bristol Airport, Portbury, both in North Somerset. It's obvious that should be within the West of England. Now, I'm happy to take your version of it, Dan. We shouldn't be in special measures. I just wish the Labour government would take your version as well and get us out of those special measures as well, so they can join us. You probably know better than most people, Dan, because you were an Avon County Councillor when North Somerset went. Not only were you an Avon County Councillor, so was your mum. So I'm going to start with a thank you, Dan. I wish your mum well, but I am going to start with end with a thank you, Dan, to you personally. Because when I wrote to all the new Labour MPs after the election, I reminded them that the last Labour government promised a hospital at Frenchy. And there was only one MP who got back to me, and it was you, Dan. I know you've taken some criticism about having 2 jobs. That didn't worry me, because you were at least doing both jobs. So I was pleased that you were doing that. And when you go and visit your mum, you'll probably understand this better than most. Southmead Hospital is already under a load of pressure. We needed it in 2008. Jonathan Ashworth, to be fair, and I'm not going to swear, but he did get his butt out of London, come to Frenchy with me, and we did a video together to campaign for a community hospital at Frenchy. And I hope his mate, Wes Street, and we'll take, if you don't want to take my word for it, we'll take the word of his mate, Jonathan Ashworth. We do need it, and when you go to Southmead, you will understand why we do need a community hospital at Frenchy. But thank you, you were the only MP who got back to me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ian. All these nice words are being said because I'm leaving, presumably. I should have threatened to leave earlier, shouldn't I? Okay, right, thank you very much, Ian. And you went over time, but anyone who mentions Muhammad Ali can take as long as they like, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, Joe Sargent. Is Joe here? No? Okay, I'll try again in case Joe's delayed. Rosa has come up to me, and she is going to speak to us now. Hello, Rosa. Rosa Kell.
Thank you there. I, like everyone else, thank you for the work you've done so far. But of course, I am speaking on behalf of the many projects that haven't started or haven't been finished or are a long way from a finishing line. I'm not going to list them all. I've got a very long list of statements, and I am aware of the timing pressure we're all under. But I would like to ask what work is being done to take WECA, West of England Mayoral, out of its special measures. I think it's very important that North Somerset join us. Hopefully, Somerset itself will be somehow swayed and physically come this way as well. We believe that given the pull that Bath, Bristol, Western has, it's the right way for Somerset to go. It has announced a different route. It's very early stages, and I'd like to know what conversations you guys have had with them, please. I'll carry on to the second bit of my questions and my statement is obviously with North Somerset not being able to join us, you have an equality officer here in the authority, but you don't have an equality forum, and we need something that connects all these disabilities and exclusions and LGBT communities under the WECA umbrella. I know we have some input into the SARI group, but unfortunately I don't think that's enough for this authority. I will leave it there. Yes, please, can we have some more information and let's get North Somerset in the umbrella. The last thing we want is to be left behind and become the smallest authority in this area of South West England.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Rosa. Well, look, you made your points very clear. What I find quite exciting about the fact there's a new government is everyone's expecting things to happen incredibly quickly. And before they were despairing, everything took so long. We have to be patient, I'm afraid. I do obviously have conversations about this. There are lots of other things in play in terms of what new organisations might be established, what they might look like, what areas they might cover. And it does take a bit of time, I'm afraid. So I can sense your impatience, Rosa. I get that. But we do have to be patient on this one. But keep making your arguments, keep doing what you're doing, and try and influence the debate so that we get to a good place.
Obviously, the planning of another mayoral election in 2026, it's far too quickly. There's a lot of work to be done in the background. I really appreciate, but we're here to help if we can.
Well, we'll be having. It won't be that quickly. Whatever happens will be happening after this mayoral election this year, so it'll be in 4 years' time, if then even, because there are huge decisions that have to be made. This is genuinely about how we make our country productive, how we can create wealth, not because we want to pursue profits like the previous government, I'm a different party, but because we want the results of that money that comes and is created and that wealth to be able to invest in things like the National Health Service, where incidentally my mum was queuing in the corridor before she got into her room. Those things need to be sorted. They cost money, nothing comes for nothing, and we have to focus on what will create that wealth. And whatever structures do that, I will support. And other people are working that out now, and I wish them well, and we must help inform that debate so they can make some good decisions. So thank you for your contribution, Rosa. Okay, I think that's it. I'll just check if Jo Sargent has appeared.
She was running late, she's not here yet.
Okay, well maybe we could include her, Jill. When she comes, perhaps you can let me know and I'll see what I can do, because I don't want anyone to miss out. Okay, thank you very much, all those people who made contributions. Thank you. They were fantastically to time, which is unusual, and so polite and kind. So there you are. Don't know what to say really about that. Okay, so let's now move on to item 6. So this is comments from the chair of the West of England Local Enterprise Partnership, Richard Bonner. This is the highlight of our meetings, as we all know from experience. Richard, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dan. I just wanted to open actually reflecting on Claire's very moving statement. And it reminds us, of course, that as we put our strategies together for our growth plan, we need to be really minded that we've got to deal with the inequalities and create that social justice that's so important. We don't want any talent in the region not to be able to access the opportunities that we're creating together. It's a full agenda through today's meeting, and I'll just briefly touch on a few points, hopefully. Obviously, with regards to the budget, it's pleasing to hear that we're going to be able to get to a settled position, all being well, through the course of today. But I just wanted to make the point, actually, that as we look to next year, there's significant growth in the amount of grant funding that's becoming available, and I think that's demonstrating that we're putting the measures in place to be able to take more money in to drive some very, very important programmes. The bus service improvement plans, the supported employments plan, the youth guarantee trailblazer pilots. These are all programmes that help us to improve business productivity, attract the inward investment, and to equip our people with the skills to access the job market and continue to create that economic enterprise for all. We notice that there is increasing focus from the Department for Transport, and one particular programme that I was pleased to see is the Green Growth West Impact Fund. Again, that's helping us to tackle the much needed journey towards net zero. With regards to the investment fund programme and the grant assurance programme, we're very pleased to see, as the government have identified, that we've got to continue to support the unitary authorities in helping us to unlock those large-scale regeneration areas. And over recent years, we've seen great progress across the region in Somer Valley and Central Bath, at Temple Quarter and in Filton. And we heard the Malaysian Prime Minister, part of a delegation, announcing £2 billion worth of investment into our region of foreign direct investment, which is so not just pleasing, but a demonstration that we are putting many measures to help to attract that. There's a lot of very important funding programmes. So Connect to Work, the Youth Guarantee Trailblazer, Made Smarter, and the UK Shared Prosperity Funds. These are helping us to boost our manufacturing productivity, not just for big businesses, but importantly for the small and medium-sized enterprises. Moving on to transport, we've been very clear that it's a key enabler to get the systems that we've noted, but it's pleasing to see that we're bringing forward proposals for funding to extend the new station at North Filton after the success last year of Ashley Down, that we're looking to extend the line out to Hembury, and this is helping us to continue to join. And we've heard from the audience some of the progress that's being made across the piece. More to be done, of course, and also for those of us who occasionally get out on our bikes and walking, I've seen so many more active travel routes across our region as well, and I think that's important for us to land. With regards to the local growth plan, the business board members, alongside others from the business community, had a very productive meeting with officers, and it was very pleasing to be invited to be part of that. There's more for us to contribute, and we're pleased to do that. And I think I just wanted to remind everybody that we're in the business of creating investable propositions, and we have a strong opportunity to do that, to create the inward investment that will drive the economy forwards. We've had a long history of working with Homes England. I'm very pleased to see that we are in the business of negotiating a strategic place partnership. That's vital for us to build on the very strong relationship that we have with that department, but other government departments. And I think that will help us to unlock the opportunity to create more of those homes that we can all be proud of, and dealing with mechanisms for our emerging local growth plan. And finally, with regards to the transformation programme and the best value response, it's been obvious to me that there's a lot of progress that's been made. We would welcome the changes that we've seen in the way in which we're collaborating across the piece. I think we've come a long way in recent months, and I'm very hopeful that partners, both through that committee and in government, will take the opportunity to recognise the progress that's been made and give us the opportunity to remove that so we can move forwards with the opportunities that are needed. So thank you to all of you for your leadership, and we look forward to positive news soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard. Okay, we're now moving to item 7, which are comments from the West of England Combined Authority Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Jerome, over to you, please.
Thank you, Dan. I think starting with that sense of, where is the authority at the moment? I mean, it feels like this is a transitionary period. So we've got the Metro Mayor elections in May. We've definitely got positive movements on the lifting of the best value notice, with the improvements in working relationships and the processes that are needed to support that. It feels like there's an increased focus on performance and consolidation, really, after the very significant growth in the authority over the last few years, and also the alignment of priorities and resourcing with the priorities of the incoming government, particularly around economic growth. Obviously, as a Green, I would question whether we've got the right balance between climate change and economic growth, but that's a debate for the coming years. Members of the committee appreciated the earlier distribution of papers. It's really, really helpful, and would welcome even earlier sharing, as there's still only kind of one full day between the scrutiny meeting and when members receive the papers. So in the scrutiny meeting, we covered, there were questions to the Mayor. Dan took the floor and answered questions which he hadn't seen beforehand. That covered best value notice, and whether that's going to be the decision in March, and whether that will be extended or not is going to be taken then. There was discussion around birthday buses, with a particular request for more data to be shared around the long-term impact on public transport use and modal shift. It was noted that we've had a transport levy that's been frozen for the last 4 years, and without precepting powers, that's a kind of constant squeeze on public transport funding. There were questions on Westlink, etc., and different performance in different areas. We then looked at my colleague Toby Wells had requested a particular paper on bus improvement options, and Jess Lee and Ben Mosley brought that to us. And that paper is very much welcomed, but there was repeated disappointment about the slow speed of progress. I think as well, given that what we've got is a kind of terms of reference going to ARUP for hopefully the exhaustive response on what the bus management options are and what the different models for that are, it didn't feel that there was enough detail in what we were being shown to have confidence that all the questions that need answering for the summer are actually going to be answered. So I think there was a fear that we get a report back and then another report is needed. So just making sure that those terms of reference are going to get us the answers that we need would be really helpful. Whatever the route forward on management of the buses, improved monitoring of performance of the buses and of the bus service providers, it does need to be strengthened. I think there's general agreement around that. Stephen Bashford kind of presented a pretty exhaustive paper on the adult skills policy landscape. And then we were moved on to the items for this meeting. In terms of the budget, I think there's a question, given the shift in the budget of the authority from, I think, 250 million last year to close on 350 million this year, the adequacy of our reserves is obviously needs to be thought through carefully, and Solange noted that we're kind of targeting 5% of the revenue budget as reserves. In terms of the Independent Improvement Panel, it's noted that they're going to be making recommendations regarding the role description of a Deputy Mayor. In terms of reporting, I think there's a general point, and I'm sure we'll come back to this again. We're used to seeing some very long reports and really kind of keeping a heightened focus. And I was talking to Richard about this earlier. The LEP used to have very good red, amber, green dashboard type reports. And I think getting greater focus on accessibility of the reports that we've got so that they are more easily shareable, particularly when we've got these responsibilities between the combined authority and the unitary authorities. On the transport infrastructure projects, moving on to that, I think the concerns about the increased costs at North Filton Station, but Stephen Peacock said that that's looking to be accelerated given the kind of mission critical nature of that in the region. I did miss out that actually there's been a public request for kind of get greater clarity on risk assessing our transport projects and will they be delivered on time, will they not be delivered on time. The Chief Exec very much said these risk assessments are taking place, but getting the balance right between what's being shared in the public and making sure that there's harmonious working behind the scenes is really important. So, let's keep the visibility there, but that was very much the response. Welcome the, moving on to homes, the Strategic Place Partnership. And, just for people unfamiliar with it, the purpose of the partnership is bringing more investment into the region to deliver homes and our agreed regen priorities. And it will be taking place, as I understood it, in parallel with work on a sort of rebooted spatial development strategy at a regional level, because although that responsibility was pushed down to the unitary authorities for local development plans, the incoming government is very much looking to the regional mayoral authorities to give some of that clarity on spatial development approach. And finally, the transformation programme and the best value response. I kind of note that even though the Independent Improvement Panel has been requesting it, there isn't yet any kind of work planned to clarify the role of the mayoral combined authority. And I think it is important that we do some work in that area because of the hybrid nature we've got between the kind of the unitary authorities and the mayoral authority. And the Director of Strategy and the CEO commented that there is really good joint working on the growth plan and the investment strategy as examples of cross-region working. So that concludes my comments.
Thank you very much, Jerome. Okay, in that case, if we could come to item 8, please. That's comments from the West of England Combined Authority Audit Committee. Over to David Wilcox. David, welcome.
Thank you, Dan. The Audit Committee met on September 30th at the Mayoral Combined Authority offices in Redcliffe to sign off the statutory accounts created in accordance with the CIPFA, the Chartered Institute of Public Finance and Accountancy Code. However, this meeting was not quorate, so it was decided to delay the accounts until December the 2nd. That meeting had to be cancelled at very short notice due to a power failure in the Redcliffe office. The committee reconvened with quorum on December the 16th, and the annual audited statement of accounts for 23-24 was voted to be signed off. I want to take this opportunity to thank Solange Russell, the Section 73 officer, and her team for preparing the accounts for sign-off and for being understanding about the additional stress associated with the lack of accuracy. At the December 16th meeting, the committee also received the following reports. We noted the Treasury Management Strategy Statement for 25-26, including the Treasury Management for 24-25 monitoring update. We resolved to endorse the non-Treasury financial strategies for 25-26 and recommended the approval of the strategy for this committee. We received 2 limited assurance reports from the internal audit team on project management quality assurance and starters, levers and post changes. The project management office lacked formal sign-off on stages and change control. The starters process has issues with the onboarding process and the right to work checks. The committee was assured that these issues have been recognised and new processes incorporated. The City Region Sustainable Transport Settlement Programme update. Using the £616 million from the Department of Transport, this programme needs to be delivered by March 2027 by the 3 unitary authorities and the combined authority. So far, only £96 million has been spent since July 2022. Chris Salmon, the interim head of transport programmes, outlined an accelerated process to deliver the 21 separate projects. The combined authority would be responsible for delivering 3 projects, the A4 corridor, the M32 corridor and step-free stations. We are pleased to see that planning for CRSTS2 was already taking place. The committee noted the work underway to de-risk this programme. Health and Safety Improvement Plan update. The committee noted progress on the actions agreed by the internal audit team. The Transformation Programme. The committee was briefed on the meetings of the Independent Improvement Panel and progress made in alleviating the best value notice. It was noted by the committee that the government had released a white paper on devolution that very day. Corporate Risk Register. We noted the report but asked for more detail on CRR8, the Mayoral Combined Authority's financial resources, actions and plans that do not fully address the climate and ecological emergencies, and CRR10, unable to attract and retain diverse high-quality talent. Our next meeting will be on the 3rd of March at Redcliffe Street. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much, David, and we'll have that in our diary. Make sure we're watching you too. Okay, thank you. Well, I definitely do think that it's true that there is a better set of communications and consensus and working together. I do agree with that, and that even includes Kevin. Kevin came back to me the other day and he said to me, what was it he said to me? He said, it was a lovely compliment. He said, if ever you're at death's door, I'll help push you through, he said. So thank you for that, Kevin. No, I think it's true. I think things are moving in a more positive way.
For the record,
can I just say something general, though? Can I just say something general that I think is important? Yeah, hold on. Look, all the details that you've raised are important things, and we're listening very hard to that. But can I just sort of make a plea as someone who's, obviously back in Parliament as well as the Mayor at the moment? It seems to me that for all these structures that we should keep working on, we should keep challenging, should keep having scrutiny, very, very important things, certainly think that. But what we need to do is get on with spending that money that we've already got. Because I can tell you, having been a government minister, that the only way that you get more money is because you spent the money you were given efficiently, well and quickly. And you don't need to get into all this detail to work that one out. That the biggest thing that we can do is to get on with spending the money we've already secured, and then point to success and say to the government, you'll get more of that success if you give us more money. That is the strongest place we can be in, and we must all work to do that. And I know in various ways we have different interpretations of what that means, but if we take too long prevaricating to get perfection, we will end up not getting a large bulk of what we'd otherwise receive. So it is quite important. Okay, right, there endeth the lesson. Okay, item 9, please. Thank everybody who's contributed so far and today. And I'm assuming that Joe Sargent didn't show up. So Joe, sorry we missed you. We'll perhaps get you next time. Okay. All right, item 9 then, Mayoral Combined Authority Budget, 25, 26, and medium-term financial strategy. Okay, I'm pleased once again to present a balanced budget that will benefit the people of the West of England, which is after all the point of our existence and why we're here. The West of England Mayoral Combined Authority plays an important role in driving our region's growth while seeking to meet our climate ambitions. And actually that needs to be more than an important role. It needs to be an even more important role if we're going to make all the changes that I know we're all wanting to see sooner rather than later. Over the last 12 months, we have taken action to support the people who live and work here. And here are some of the highlights, not often reported as well as we might want in the media, because good news, I'm afraid, doesn't make headlines. It isn't clickbait or anything like that. Rows tend to be that sort of thing. But let's just remind ourselves of some of the things that have happened in the last 12 months, while other people have sometimes questioned what's going on. There's a lot going on, is the answer. We've opened Ashley Down Station. That's already been referred to. That's a really important thing. I think the point about different ways that we can get people to use that station and the other lines in that area makes sense. We heard that. Launching, of course, the West Local Services designed by local people for local people. Clearly, we need to modify those things and keep hearing the feedback and work on that to get better and better. We were never expecting to get it perfect at the start. We need to keep modifying. So thank you for everybody who's inputting, because it has been constructive criticism, and that is so much more helpful than just negative stuff, because officers work very hard and the politicians actually work very hard of all parties to try and get these things right, and it's hard. It's not easy. Also extending birthday buses, which is proving to be very successful and is an important initiative in my view. If we're going to get more passengers using the bus services, of course we all want them to go in all different places, but we must make sure that the general trajectory of bus usage is going up. And actually our region is leading the country pretty much. We're doing incredibly well when you look at the pre-pandemic figures and you look at them now. Although of course there's been changes in working patterns, people working more from home and things like that, which has impacted on transport usage, we are still ahead of that curve in growth. So we're doing really, really well, and I'm very keen that we keep that momentum up. And thank you to all those who've made birthday buses a success to date. Kevin, how many passengers used it? Was it 130,000 in a recent month, something like that? Journeys, yeah, journeys in January. So it's like, it's going really, really well. And I know people have had some doubts about it in the beginning and what have you. I didn't, but I wouldn't have, because it was something that I thought was important. But it is being a significant success. It's creating waves in a good way around the country and with government. And we should be proud of being able to influence wider than our own area, which I think is important. Then, of course, the Green Growth West Impact Fund of 100 million, establishing that has been really important. Thank you to Roger and all your team and everybody else who's been involved with that. Very, very important. And also becoming, of course, the first region in England to launch its local nature recovery strategy. I mean, that is really quite something, and we should be very proud of that indeed. Not by looking backwards and saying, isn't that good, haven't we done a good job, but what it allows us to do to make a difference in terms of the environment and everything else in the future. We're in a really good place now. We've got to keep that momentum up, and I'm really keen to do that. Okay, so this budget will allow us to go further and faster to get things fixed across our region, and there's a lot to be fixed. So therefore, I'm going to move the report. Can I call for a seconder, please? Is there a seconder? Thank you very much, Ian. Would you like to speak to this, Ian? Would you like to do that now?
Yes, thank you, Dan. Very happy to support the published recommendations. Thanks to the officers and my colleagues for the work that has undoubtedly gone into reaching these recommendations. I'm particularly pleased that we've reached agreement on the transport levy contributions for the next year. As some of you will know, increasing the transport levy was one of our Labour Group manifesto commitments in South Gloucestershire. We do, however, need to urgently make progress on developing that strategic approach approach to bus services as part of a wider integrated transport solution for the region. So I look forward to the committee considering an update on the bus improvement options paper agreed at our meeting in September very soon. We've talked about the best value notice panel meetings. I'm obviously attending those as a committee member, and I'm very, very pleased with the positive progress that's being made on that. I also agree that the number of transformation programs, reviews and actions is beginning to get confusing with the Grant Thornton review, the Solace reports, the transformation programs, etc. So I welcome the recommendation to consolidate all the remaining open transformation activities into a single organisational improvement plan. It's important, however, to maintain visibility of the progress we're making, so it's important that governance arrangements for the organisation improvement plan back to committee comes as soon as possible to ensure that appropriate oversight. I also welcome the recommendation that standardises the delegation wording, which effectively brings in line with other delegations to officers agreed by this committee. The previous BSIP delegation was something of an anomaly, as it excluded the constituent councils from the decision-making process, so has been, as we know, a topic of much debate and arguably distraction in previous committee meetings. So the recommendation now delegates authority to the MCA and UA authorities to agree how the additional BSIP funding will be allocated. So I strongly support this more inclusive position. We also need to ensure that we follow the evidence. It's something that we're doing in South Gloucestershire as a partnership administration to ensure that funding is allocated in the most effective way, including continuing to fund existing services and marketing them effectively to encourage higher patronage. And we've heard that today from the public, as well as exploring new services to serve communities that currently do not have a bus service. We also need to continue providing the targeted support to the most vulnerable in our society, including the continuation of funding for our care leavers, which is again something from our group manifesto at the local elections to provide that support for care leavers. Since October 2023, over 300 care leavers in South Gloucestershire have benefited from the BSIP Care Leavers package, which has helped them. It helps them to access employment, education and training opportunities. The young people can look ahead and plan for their future by applying for jobs, attend interviews and commute to work whilst waiting for their first pay. It allows them to attend their job centre appointments consistently, avoiding penalties for missed opportunities, and having greater financial independence, reducing the stress and worry about funding a bus pass, which has allowed them to allocate more of their income to rising utility and food costs. It also helps on the social side, connecting with friends, visiting the gym, enhancing their mental and physical health, and gaining independence, enabling them to access opportunities without having to wait for a bus pass for social care. Remembering that our care leavers, we do have responsibilities as corporate parents and supporting them in the way that families would support them normally. Our care leavers are already asking us how much they will continue to access bus services after March, so we must ensure that the BSIP Care Leavers package continues. So happy to support that with those notes and happy to second that for you.
Thank you ever so much, Ian. Really great. Would anyone else like to speak? Of course, Heather.
Yeah, I want to echo many of the same points. The care leaving point is really poignant to me. Bristol made care leaving a protected characteristic this month, but also it's quite personal. I was a foster carer, and my foster is now a care leaver, as with a very dodgy scooter, which forever is not working. So I hope that he's getting the support, but I really do know firsthand the struggles of our care leavers and the financial struggles. So I'm glad that this sort of support is available. I want to reiterate the point about we're really glad that with the bus service improvement plan that will be all local authorities included and consulted on that, because, well, as we are hearing so many views today from the public on buses, it is going to be those most local and most knowledgeable about communities that are going to have the best ideas of what we really need. And I'm not allowed to go into the details, but next week there will be an announcement about free bus services. I've already mentioned a few times today. which are transport levy funded, but also clean air zone funded partially by the clean air zone. So I always like to mention that when people are, where's that money going? So yeah, 3 new bus services for Bristol announced next week. Thank you.
Okay. Kevin, I did ask, I think you indicated you didn't want. Okay, that's great. Thank you, everybody, for your contributions. Appreciate that. Okay, so there are 10 recommendations with various different voting arrangements. So I'll take each recommendation in turn, so please bear with me. So recommendation 1, and just so people, if they're noticing that I'm not voting, I'm not allowed to vote on my own budget, would you believe? Who would ever think that was possible? And we will be talking to the government that we already have about how we might get that changed, because it's referred to, apparently, when I first arrived as mayor, it was referred to as a slip of the pen, which means that it should have been there in whatever rules and wasn't. But the pen hasn't slipped back, I notice. So
can we assume your support?
I think you can. So anyway, let's work through it, but just so people understand, because you know what it's like. People wonder what's going on, and it's difficult at the best of times. Okay, so recommendation 1 then. Could I ask those who are in favour to please show? I don't have a vote on this one. Okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much indeed. Then recommendation 2, again, I don't have a vote on this one. Those in favour, can you please show now? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Recommendation, same again, I don't have a vote on this one. Those in favour, please show. Fabulous, thank you very much. That's carried. Recommendation 4, again, I don't have a vote. Those in favour, please show. Great, thank you very much. That's unanimous. Okay, now something different. Recommendation 5. I have a vote, apparently. That's good. So those in favour, please show. Recommendation 5. Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Includes me, of course. That's carried. Thank you. Recommendation 6. There is no vote on this. Please can members indicate that they note this. Thank you. I know that's all been noted by everybody, including me, of course. Same with recommendation 7. No vote, but can I ask if that's noted, please? Thank you. Everyone's noted it. And then recommendation 8, this is a majority vote, including me. Those in favour, please show. Okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. And then on recommendation 9, this is another noting endeavour. Please, can I see if people are noting that? Thank you very much. Recommendation 9. Then recommendation 10, could those who are in favour please show now? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. We now move on to item 10. This is the Investment Fund Programme and Grant Assurance. Now, this report seeks approval of funding to develop regeneration elements of the local growth plan and to drive delivery of schemes made possible by new funding from the government. So that's things like Connect to Work or the Youth Guarantee Trailblazer, the Made Smarter programme and the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. And I can't resist but to say, for those who are suggesting that somehow we're not getting money as a region, clearly that is nonsense. Things are coming in, so that's good. So therefore, can I move the report, please? Can I call for a seconder? Is there someone who'd like to say? Thank you, Kevin. Would you like to speak to that now, Kevin? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Very briefly, this is quite an exciting fund, and I concur. We can always get more money from government, though, but funding is coming in. And particularly, I'd like to point out the rural mobility pilots, which sound very exciting. I'm looking forward to them rolling out a bit more. And specifically for our area, the supporting of Midsummer Norton and the Somer Valley, the enterprise down there. This particular pot of money is going towards Midsummer Norton Regeneration Action Plan, the Old Brewery Quarter Town Centre Master Plan as well. A thriving Midsummer Norton and that area is crucial to our entire growth strategy for the area. So I welcome the paper. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin, and you won't be surprised to hear me agree completely with that, having had a long association with that area, Somer Valley, over many, many years, quarter of a century or more, in fact. Okay, would anyone else like to speak? Heather, sorry, Ian, would you like to speak? Maybe Heather would like to come in a moment.
Thank you. Know that really positive progress is being made on the local growth plan, and again, thank you to everyone for their support on that. It's clearly that we have considerable local knowledge and expertise within the different authority teams relating to placemaking, and it's vital to ensure that this expertise remains harnessed effectively, so this recommendation enables this to happen. I think it's also important to recognise that large-scale regeneration and placemaking activity undertaken by the UA teams isn't only related to activities within the growth zones identified within the local growth plans. So in our case, case in South Gloucestershire, it isn't only related to activities within the West Innovation Arc and the 7 estuary growth zones. It also relates to wider cross-cutting enablers of economic growth, so housing, transport and skills, and also the broader geographical areas that will support the local growth plan. So, for example, in South Gloucestershire, the East Fringe is the area where the South Gloucestershire Emerging Local Plan seeks to allocate around 4,300 new homes and 25 hectares of new employment land. So we need to ensure our existing and new communities are integrated and that all our residents, particularly those in our more deprived communities, can access the skills and employment opportunities and the economic growth will bring. As Cabinet Member and South Gloss Council for Education, Skills, Employment and Business, I'm particularly pleased that we have the Youth Guarantee Trailblazer. We must now work collaboratively to co-design and deliver this programme and ensure that we add value and avoid duplication with existing and planned initiatives. So we need to ensure that we follow the evidence again as to what works and what is going to work, and where necessary be prepared to tailor programmes to meet local needs so that young people across our region, irrespective of whether they live in urban or rural areas or our market towns, benefit from this significant funding award. Also, we recognise that the timescales for delivery are remarkably tight, so we need to ensure that the unitary authority teams who will be delivering most of the programmes are sufficiently resourced to be able to hit the ground running in April. So time is tight on that. So again, happy to support this report wholly.
Thank you very much, Ian. Really appreciate that. Heather.
Yeah, really excited to see the DWP additional funding, and obviously that access to employment and skills is vitally important. It is an area that I think there can be risk of duplication and similar projects happening. I'm really excited, very much what Ian said, but about co-designing, co-developing and working with local authority officers, politicians working on that. We already have our Work Well project amongst other things, and I think it's really important for everyone to know that there are different projects doing different things and that we know where the overlap is and we're not duplicating, and make sure everything integrates well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Heather. Okay, now, if members are happy, can I take all 9 recommendations together? Is that okay to save us going through? So in that case, can all those in favour of all 9 recommendations please show now? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you very, very much indeed. Okay, let's move on to the next item. So the next item is item 11, that's delivery assurance. Now this report sets out a number of change requests for schemes. I move the report. Is there anyone who wishes to second, please? Thank you. Ian, would you like to speak to this, Ian? No? Anyone else like to speak to this? Kevin?
Yeah, very, very quickly, thank you, Dan. First of all, I think it's important to note, particularly when the best value notice has been brought up a few times, that the quality of papers and the collaboration that's been seen recently is very, very good. And this is a paper that really highlights that. There's some really great collaboration that's been done between the unitary authorities and WECA officers working as one team, which I'm very impressed with, and I would encourage to see more of. In this particular paper, it's about a vision of creating a fairer, greener and more creative Bath and North East Somerset. And there's some really brilliant pieces of work in there that have taken a WECA officer time and Baines officers time. Summer Valley rediscovered green spaces. There's a Chew Valley Lake recreational trail. These are small sums of money, but they make a big difference at helping people get out and about. North Keynsham land acquisition, Milson Quarter regeneration, Bath River Line project, and water space connection. These are really good examples of great collaborative work that, although small chunks of money, will make a big difference to people's lives. So it's a big compliment to the team at WECA and their officers. So happy to support the paper.
Thanks, Kevin. And the River Line was the thing you told me was most important to you when I first became mayor. I remember us having that discussion. Do you remember that? Okay, right. In that case, let me just check. We've gone through it all. Okay, let's go to... Sorry, just hold on a second. Does anyone else wish to speak before I move on? Thank you. Okay, so there's one recommendation. Can all those in favour please show now? Okay, thank you very much. That's carried unanimously. Right, item 12, transport infrastructure projects. Now, this paper will allow us to get on with getting North Filton Station built, or Bristol Brabazon Station, as I understand it might be called, or maybe the Collet Skellich Halt, maybe something like that, or maybe it should be Holt Colin Skellet. I don't know, one of the two. Anyway, I say full steam ahead, whatever. So this paper also highlights our plans for cycling, walking, and wheeling, enabling more local people, of course, to make sustainable, healthy transport choices across our amazing region. Therefore, I move the reports. Can I ask for a seconder? Is there a seconder? Well done, Heather. Thank you. Not you. My gaze made you do it, I know. Okay, would you like to speak on it? You don't have to, of course.
I realised I wasn't sure of the etiquette looking around. Have I done anything wrong? Am I allowed to second? I'm very excited about a Brabazon or North Filton or whatever station. I remember when the arena was proposed for that area, which I'll admit I wasn't in favour of at the time. I wasn't elected, but it was my first or second time speaking at full council, and I had looked into it, and it would take me about 2 minutes less time by public transport to get to Filton than it would to get to Cardiff. So the idea of an arena for the city didn't seem very feasible without the good public transport. Particularly happy, I'm just looking at the active travel funding here. Obviously a key priority for us as a density. I actually cycled here today. It was a lovely cycle ride, although I must admit almost no cycle routes on the way, to get to here. So there's certainly a question there about the facilities. So yeah, we just want to make sure that's safe and easy across our city. So thank you for that funding.
Yeah, thank you. Again, really happy to support this, to get that drawdown funding for the pre-construction activities for North Filton Station are vital. This station is of significant regional importance as it will provide access to both the new Bristol Arena and the Brabazon New Town, which is the UK's largest brownfield development, which was officially launched by the Malaysian Prime Minister in London earlier this month. The development is a £2 billion investment, which represents a huge vote of confidence in the West of England region and the UK. It's vitally important, therefore, that we ensure the new railway station is delivered and on time. Furthermore, through the local growth plan, we have a unique opportunity to up the ante from proposals for a new town into proposals for a new city district at Brabazon, which will clearly require a new railway station as part of an integrated mass transit system for the city region. The North Filton Station will be a vital component of this network, and therefore I strongly support this recommendation.
Thank you very much, Ian. Kevin, do you want to speak to this?
Very quickly again, couldn't agree more with the comments that have been made. An integrated transport plan is long overdue, and this is part of that. But it would be foolish of me not to plug the need for a Salford train station at this particular point, which I will do. And also to note, Heather, if you want to do a cycle ride from here to Bath, it's a lovely cycle ride.
True.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Well, I certainly agree with you about the Salford railway station. I understand the local MP also agrees. Okay, right. Let's go to the two recommendations we have, please. Recommendation 1. Can I just check no one else wanted to speak? Sorry, I didn't ask. Okay. Recommendation 1. Those in favour, please show now. That's carried unanimously. And recommendation 2. If you're in favour, please show. Right, that's carried unanimously too. We move now to item 13, the local growth plan. The local growth plan is an opportunity for us to showcase our region's significant strengths, including, of course, our advanced manufacturing, innovation, digital creative and clean energy areas. I therefore move the report. Can I ask for a seconder, please? Thank you. Ian, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, thank you. Again, supporting the positive collaboration that's being made to develop this local growth plan. I think that it's something that all the constituent authorities and officers have found an exciting process, to be quite honest, and something really positive. I think we have to incorporate within that, as I've just said, that integrated public transport system for the city region, establishing that new city district in the West Innovation Arc, remembering Seven Edge, the new nuclear at Albury, and also just over the border in Berkeley, to also the interventions around the East Fringe to facilitate integration of existing communities with the new housing and employment land allocated in the new South Gloss local plan. That's really important. You know, this is going to be a big change for many people, and we want to bring everyone along on this, and ensuring existing communities and business can benefit in that economic growth, so we leave no one behind. In terms of specific place-based strategic priorities, remembering the Bristol and Bath Science Park and the role that has to play, and remembering that the Bristol and Bath Science Park mentions Bristol and Bath. It's in South Gloss, but you're all on board on that. And the Green Skills Construction Centre. We have a huge green construction skills challenge, and if the region is going to come anywhere close to meeting our ambitious net zero and home building targets, we need to be able to support our further education colleges, particularly South Gloss and Stroud College, who can play a crucial role in helping to meet these regional skills needs.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak? Kevin.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, very quickly. It's also a good example of us jointly working together. It's really important we get this local growth plan written down. But I'm also keen that it just doesn't become a piece of paper that we hand to government. We need to transform this into something tangible so we can really draw down proper quantitative sums of money from central government. Particularly around, we're very keen for Bath and therefore the region to be a culture of a centre for culture and well-being, based around quality health technology for the future as well, and that can all be put in the growth plan. But really, it shouldn't just be a piece of paper that government put on the shelf. It should be something that we can use and we can constantly badger whatever government or whatever colour they are to really give quality money to this region, based on a really quite exciting growth plan.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to go off script and go on my opinions on growth. And Dan, earlier you said, you know, that plans are coming forwards and whatever plan it is for growth. And I think that I want to be more cautious and give some caveats around that, because growth can be exploitative. Growth can be not good for certain communities in certain areas, and I want there to be an absolute focus in equity, equality, sustainability in a growth plan. I want a growth plan for the region and for Bristol. We're working on the Bristol plan at the moment, that helps those in Bristol that most need it. You know, and Bristol, you know, you can really see the examples of Bristol with gentrification, with wealth coming into Bristol, and the number of communities, existing communities that have been around for a long time, that feel left out from that. The hopefully famous quote, GDP, who's GDP? You know, people can feel left out. You can have financial wealth building and growth in certain areas, and it doesn't reach everyone and doesn't help everyone. I think that's got to be really, really significant. In this plan, in every bit of this plan, focusing on that equality. You know, we talk about growth so that there's wealth, so that we can fund services, but there are other ways of funding services which are about how do we find the wealth that exists and distribute wealth. So I just want to make sure that when we are talking about growth, we're being very clear on who needs it and where it's going. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I don't disagree with you particularly, but I do think that if you're looking at funding things like our public services, the health service and what have you, there's nothing more unequal than people who can't access healthcare, or a young person who's got a social worker with such a high caseload because there's so few of them and so much demand. That's not fair either. So fairness in the context that you're speaking about, I don't disagree, but I think you need wider parameters, and it needs a maturity from our region, actually, because Ian's point, I think it was Ian or somebody's point, about how, sorry, it was Ian up there, point about how, you know, it sometimes seems that other areas up in the north of the country are getting certain resources and perhaps the west of England isn't because it's in the prosperous south in inverted commas. Well, you know, we do have to be reasonable about it. We do have to think about all the figures about poverty and need and deprivation and what have you. Doesn't mean we don't route for our area and making sure that we get the best for our people. But, you know, on the same day as Rachel Reeves, as Chancellor, was going to China to secure £200 million, we were signing, as Ian Bolton referred to, a £2 billion contribution from a private Malaysian enterprise. Similar huge investment going on in the Temple Quarter now, which is very exciting. So we're talking about at least 4 billion, I think 6 billion when you look at it eventually. And we have to be honest about that. The advantage of having, in some ways, a very prosperous economy, we are a region of the mayoral regions with big cities that contributes to net GDP. Another point you made, Ian. That is very significant. We are very lucky to be in that position. We shouldn't just think, just give to us, without recognising that we have to have a sense of morality and fairness for all citizens right across the country, while at the same time rooting hard for the people we care about and are concerned about and represent. So I just think we need that maturity to manoeuvre our way through what I think are exciting prospects, so much better than what we've had over the last 14 years. Whatever our differences, I think we can all agree that what has been going on for 14 years was not acceptable and not good enough, and we expect a lot better. And I think by working together, even if we have to compromise about what exactly fairness and justice and growth means, still means that we can do a good job by our communities. And I know that the people in the room will want to sign up. Would you like to speak?
I completely agree with everything you've just said, Dan, and I just wanted to remind ourselves that we will be challenged around the ability to leverage public sector funding, but we've got some fantastically brilliant opportunities for private sector investment, and I hope our local growth plan really makes a strong case about that creation of propositions that the private sector can come in and leverage, which is what we've already demonstrated. So thank you.
And can I also take this opportunity to thank the officers that are now in situ, because Kevin and some of the other leaders, Ian, Heather, but your leader, have worked hard to be able to bring about the changes in the combined authority so we can get some of these things happening. And, you know, I have to be candid, it wasn't happening when I first became mayor. I found things that I was not happy about, and it has been difficult, and it has been challenging. And sometimes that's played out politically, because that's how politics works, isn't it, Kevin? That's just how it is sometimes. We understand that, we're grown-ups. Well, we're grown-ups. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. So what I think we can look forward to is a much brighter 4 years than the previous 4 years. And I think the last 4 years, for all its contentions, was better than the first 4 years. And we must keep that trajectory, mustn't we? We must keep making improvements over each 4-year period. And I'm very excited about the prospect, not least because it's a Labour government, which you'd expect me to say, but because of the possibilities that it creates if we can get it right. And I think it's a great time to be in politics, frankly, in our region. And I hope you share that in energy and enthusiasm as I have. Okay, right, so we now have one recommendation. Can I ask those in favour to please show now of recommendation 1? Thank you, that's carried unanimously. And we now move on to item 14, that's Homes England Strategic Place Partnership. So this introduces the West of England's partnership with Homes England, of course, and the Strategic Place Partnership will bring together the respective strengths and resources of the Mayoral Combined Authority and Homes England. They are only available to places with a directly elected Metro Mayor. We mustn't forget that. We do have advantages in having a mayor, and putting us at the front of the queue for many types of investment. And as I've just mentioned, I'm determined that we grasp that and keep getting that trajectory going up over the years ahead. So therefore, I move the report. Could someone second that for me, please? Ian, thank you very much. Would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, thank you. This is particularly important to us in South Gloucestershire to have that strategic place partnership with Homes England. It will help us to attract more government and private sector investment into the region, and also help us to develop a regionally agreed pipeline of transformational housing and regeneration scheme. Just to explain, for example, in South Gloucester, the West Innovation Arc, we need to work with Homes England here to ensure that the benefits of economic growth go hand in hand with the regeneration and support of existing communities and places, as we've all touched upon in that last item. So really happy to support this. This is something that is important to us in South Gloucestershire particularly.
Thank you very, very much indeed, Ian. Right, would anyone else like to speak, please?
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't agree with Ian more. It's about ensuring we build the right houses in the right places with the correct sustainable transport links to those houses, which goes to the point that Heather's made earlier about supporting those people that are most vulnerable in our area. And I welcome this report. There's £80 million specific of funding that are going from Homes England to the Western Riverside project, the old gasworks, which will hopefully provide a large number of very needed affordable homes in the centre of Bath. So it's a great paper and I welcome it.
Heather.
So we already have a strong partnership and relationship with Homes England on our Temple Quarter, 10,000 homes planned there. So yeah, really excited that it's now something else at a higher level, and really glad that that will include unitary authority members and officers. So thank you.
Okay, in that case we have two recommendations. So recommendation 1, all those in favour, could you please show now? That's carried unanimously, thank you. And recommendation 2, if you're in favour, please show now. That's carried unanimously as well. Okay, we now move to item 15. That's the Transformation Programme and Best Value Response. Now, this paper provides an update to this committee on the work to drive improvement in the way that the Combined Authority functions, and it includes the report of the chair of the Independent Improvement Panel. People will know my views about this situation. What I think is important is that we move as quickly as we can with the support of the new government to, in the new era, to move out of whatever was going on under the previous government. So I therefore move the report. Anyone prepared to second that, please? Kevin, thank you very much. Would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, thank you, Dan. We've mentioned already constantly the positive and improved working relationships between officers. So, and I think that's been noted by the best value response. I also am very supportive of this group of individuals remaining around for 6 months after the new mayor comes into place, just to make sure the recommendations from this board are carried out. I think that's very welcome, and I think that's welcomed by all parties involved. And I agree with comments before. The sooner we can get the best value notice removed, the better. And I think it's working very well and coming up with some really good recommendations for the future.
Thank you, Kevin. Anyone else like to speak? Ian? Heather? No. Okay. Well, look, Kevin, I completely agree with you. I do think we need to get on as soon as we can and keep the pressure on we have been doing as leaders to say, look, whatever the need to do the proper protocols, we want to move as quickly as we can into a position where we are able then to take full advantage of all the opportunities that are coming our way. So I think that's probably enough to say about that. All right. So in that case, I think we have got one recommendation. Am I right in that, Bob? Or is there two? Sorry, there's three. There's a few. Sorry, my mistake. Okay, let's move first to recommendation 1. All those in favour, please show now. Thank you very much. That's carried unanimously. Recommendation 2. Those in favour, please show. Okay, that's carried unanimously too. And then there's a note, recommendation 3. So could it be noted, please, recommendation 3? Thank you. That's everybody nodding to that. Okay, finally, we move now to item 16. That's the Mayoral Combined Authority Financial Regulations Update. Bit of a mouthful. I formally move the report. Can I ask for a seconder, please? Heather, go on.
I'll gladly second, but I don't think I have any fascinating comments on this one.
Okay, well, we'll live without your insights, but thank you for seconding. Ian, Kevin, wish to speak? No. Okay, in that case, thank you for your comments. There's one recommendation. Those in favour, please show. Okay, that's carried unanimously. Okay, great. So we're now at the end of this meeting. That concludes business for this meeting. And thank you to everyone attending and for viewing online. I'd particularly like to thank our Police and Crime Commissioner, Claire Moody, who had to go to a very important event, for being present today. And I look forward to seeing her at our next meeting. And I also want to wish my mum, I hope that hasn't finished you off, Mum, in hospital, having to watch all this. I suspect you had other things to do. Hopefully you did. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your attendance today. Appreciate all your comments and inputs. It's been a good day. Look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.